The phone rang at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in December. I was already awake, had been since 5:30 actually. That's what 8 years of sobriety does to you. You learn discipline, structure, the kind of rigid routine that keeps you from slipping back into the dark. My apartment was small but meticulously clean, a one-bedroom in a working-class neighborhood, nothing fancy. But it was mine, paid for with honest work, and every morning when I woke up, I could look myself in the mirror without shame. That alone felt like a miracle some days. I was making coffee, black, no sugar, a habit from my AA days, when the phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen in 3 years. Rachel. My hand froze halfway to the coffee pot. Rachel. My daughter. The one I'd failed. The one who'd cut me out of her life when she was 25, telling me through a cold, formal text message that she needed space and time to heal from the damage I'd caused. I'd respected that. What else could I do? I was the one who'd chosen alcohol over being a father. I was the one who'd stumbled home drunk too many times, missed her school plays, her graduation, her college acceptance. I was the one who'd lost custody when she was 18 because a judge looked at me and saw what I really was. A broken man who couldn't keep his life together. But that was 10 years ago. I'd been sober for 8 of those years. 8 years of AA meetings, therapy, late-night cravings that nearly broke me, and the slow, agonizing work of rebuilding myself from the ground up. The phone rang again. I picked it up with a hand that wasn't quite steady. Hello? Dad? Her voice cracked, and I felt something inside my chest crack with it. Dad, I need you. 4 words. That's all it took for my entire world to shift. For every mistake, every regret, every lonely night of those 8 sober years to suddenly crystallize into this single moment. Rachel. My voice came out rough. What's wrong, sweetheart? Silence on the other end, but I could hear her breathing, fast, shallow, panicked. Talk to me. Whatever it is, I'm here. I think Michael is trying to kill me. The words hit like a physical blow. Michael, her husband, the man I'd never met because Rachel had married him 4 years ago when we weren't speaking. The man I only knew from Rachel's sparse social media posts. Handsome, successful, the kind of guy who looked perfect on paper. What do you mean? I kept my voice calm, even though my heart was hammering. Tell me everything. And she did. It came out in fragments, the way truth often does when you're terrified. She'd been sick for 18 months, constant nausea, dizziness, crushing fatigue. She'd seen doctors, so many doctors. They ran tests, blood panels, imaging studies. Everything came back inconclusive. They said maybe it was stress, maybe anxiety, maybe chronic fatigue syndrome. But Rachel knew her body. She'd run marathons before this, and now she could barely make it through a day. Then, 2 weeks ago, she woke up at 3 a.m., couldn't sleep, nausea churning. She walked downstairs for water and saw him, Michael, in the kitchen, standing at the counter with her water bottle in one hand and a small vial in the other. He was pouring something into the bottle. When he noticed her in the doorway, he'd smiled. That easy, charming smile. Told her he was adding vitamins. Said she needed to take better care of herself. Said he was worried about her. But the way he looked at her, Rachel said it was cold, empty, like he was measuring how long she had left. I Googled the symptoms, Dad. Her voice shook. Every single symptom I've had for the last 1.5 years. It matches perfectly. Ethylene glycol poisoning, antifreeze. It causes organ failure over time, but slowly. And it looks like natural illness. Doctors miss it all the time. My hands gripped the phone so hard my knuckles went white. I'd worked as a private investigator before the drinking got bad. Insurance fraud, mostly. Suspicious deaths. I knew about ethylene glycol. I knew it was the perfect poison if you wanted to kill someone slowly and make it look like liver disease. Have you confronted him? No. I'm terrified, Dad. He controls everything. Our bank accounts, my phone, even my friends. He keeps saying if I ever try to leave him, he'll take Emma and Lucas, that I'm an unfit mother, and maybe he's right. I mean, look at my family history. She meant me, my failures, the drinking. Rachel. I cut her off, my voice firm. Listen to me very carefully. You are not unstable. You are not your father's mistakes, and you're not alone anymore. Do you understand me? I heard her exhale, shaky. What do we do? I was already grabbing my keys. First, we get proof. Then we make sure he never hurts you or anyone ever again. The drive to Rachel's city took 4 hours. 4 hours of silence except for the hum of the engine and the endless loop of my thoughts. I remembered the last time I saw her. She was 22, home for Christmas break. I'd been sober for 2 years by then. Thought I had my life together. I showed up at her mother's house. My ex-wife, Linda, who'd divorced me 7 years earlier and remarried a decent man who never let her down. Rachel answered the door. I'll never forget the look on her face. Not anger, not disappointment, just exhaustion. The kind of weariness that comes from hoping too many times and being let down every single one. Dad, I can't do this anymore, she'd said. I'm sober, Rachel. 2 years. I know. And I'm proud of you. I really am. Her eyes were shiny with unshed tears. But I can't keep waiting for you to become the father I needed. I have to move on. I have to protect myself. That was 3 years ago. And now here I was, racing down the highway because she'd called me for help. I called my sister Lisa before I even crossed county lines. Lisa Hendricks, my younger sister. The responsible one. The one who'd become a divorce attorney and built a life I could only admire from a distance. She picked up on the second ring. Marcus, it's 7 a.m. What's wrong? Rachel called me. Silence. Lisa knew what that meant. She's in trouble, Lisa. I need your help. I explained everything. The sickness, the suspicions, the vial in the kitchen. By the time I finished, I could hear Lisa typing furiously. Marcus, if this is real, if Michael really is poisoning Rachel, this isn't a divorce case. This is criminal. Murder or attempted murder. I know. You're going to need evidence, medical records, toxicology reports, financial history. And Marcus, she paused. You need to be prepared. Michael will use everything against you, your past, the drinking, the custody loss. He'll paint you as a bitter, unstable ex-father trying to sabotage his daughter's marriage. The words stung because they were true. I've been sober for 8 years, Lisa. I've got the records to prove it. Good, because you're going to need them. Do you have documentation? AA attendance records? Your sponsor's contact information? Yes, all of it. Okay. I could hear the shift in her voice, from concerned sister to strategic attorney. First thing, we need Rachel tested. Blood work showing ethylene glycol levels. But carefully. If Michael finds out she's being tested, he might change tactics. What about a private investigator? You still in touch with Barnes? Detective J. Barnes, my old partner from my PI days. Retired cop, specialized in insurance fraud and suspicious deaths. I can reach out. Do it. We need Michael's full background, financial records, marital history, any patterns, and Marcus. Lisa's voice softened. Be careful. If you're right about this, Michael is dangerous. I will. I'm going through a divorce right now, you know. The words came out abruptly. Not murder, but manipulation, financial control, gaslighting, making me feel crazy for questioning him. I hadn't known. Lisa always seemed so put together. I'm sorry. I didn't know. It's fine. I'm handling it. But I understand what Rachel's going through. That feeling of being trapped. So yeah, I'm going to help you. We're going to get her out. After we hung up, I called Barnes. He answered with his usual gruff greeting. Hendricks, didn't expect to hear from you. I need a favor, full background check, marital history, financial records, everything. I gave him Michael Foster's name and all the details. How fast do you need this? Yesterday. Barnes was quiet for a moment. This is serious, isn't it? Life or death? Give me 2 weeks. I'll dig up everything. 2 weeks. 14 days while my daughter was being slowly poisoned. I pressed harder on the gas pedal. Rachel lived in a suburb outside the city. Nice neighborhood. White picket fences. Well-maintained lawns. The kind of place that looks safe. But I'd learned a long time ago that the most dangerous things often hide behind respectable facades. I pulled up to a diner 3 miles from Rachel's house. She'd insisted we meet away from home. Michael thought she was having coffee with an old college friend. What he didn't know was that Rachel had used her work phone, a phone from her part-time accounting job that Michael didn't monitor, to call me at 6:47 a.m. when he was at the gym. When she walked through the door, I barely recognized her. The Rachel I remembered was vibrant, full of life. This woman moved like every step required conscious effort. Her cheekbones jutted sharply beneath skin the color of old newspaper. Dark crescents beneath her eyes told the story of countless sleepless nights. When she sat down across from me, her hands trembled as she reached for the water glass. Hi, Dad. Hi, sweetheart. We sat in silence for a moment. 8 years sober, 3 years apart. And this was how we were reunited, in a dingy diner, planning how to catch the man trying to murder her. Tell me about the night you saw him with the vial, I said. Rachel took a shaky breath. It was 3 a.m. 2 weeks ago. I woke up feeling awful, nausea, dizziness, the usual. I went downstairs for water, and there he was, standing at the counter with my water bottle, and this small bottle in his hand, dark liquid. He was pouring it in. What did he say? That it was vitamins, supplements to help me feel better. Her voice dropped to a whisper. But Dad, the way he looked at me when he said it, it was like he was calculating, measuring. Did you drink it? No. I said I wasn't thirsty and went back to bed. The next morning, that water bottle was gone. I need you to do something for me, I said. Next time Michael makes you a smoothie or anything to drink, save a sample. Just a few tablespoons in a container. Can you do that? Rachel nodded, her eyes wide. You think that's how he's doing it? The morning smoothies? If I'm right about ethylene glycol, he'd need to give it to you regularly, small doses over time. What's your morning routine? Michael makes me a smoothie every day, says it's healthy. Spinach, berries, protein powder. He's very particular about making it himself. Of course he was. Save me a sample, and we need to get your blood tested, but not at your regular doctor, somewhere Michael won't find out. There's a clinic downtown. They do walk-in lab work. Good. Go there. Tell them you want a comprehensive metabolic panel and specifically ask them to test for ethylene glycol. Can you get there without Michael knowing? I can say I'm running errands. He tracks my phone, but if I leave it at the grocery store and take my work phone. Smart girl. Even poisoned and terrified, she was thinking clearly. One more thing, I said. Do you have life insurance? Rachel's face went pale. Yes. Michael insisted we get policies after Emma was born. He said it was to protect the kids. How much? 1.5 million. He's the beneficiary. My stomach turned. $1.5 million. More than enough motive to kill. Rachel, I need you to listen carefully. Until we have proof, you have to act normal around Michael. Can you do that? I've been doing it for 2 weeks already. Her voice was hollow, pretending everything's fine while wondering if every meal might be my last. I reached across the table and took her hand. It was so thin, so fragile. You're not going to die. I promise you that. We're going to stop him. 3 days later, Rachel brought me a small plastic container with about 4 ounces of green smoothie. Her hands were steadier this time, but her face was still drawn and pale. He made it this morning, she said. I pretended to drink half and poured the rest into this when he left for work. I took the container like it was evidence in a murder case, because it was. Did you get the blood work done? Yesterday. They said results would take 3 days. While we waited, Barnes called. Hendricks, you need to sit down for this. I was driving, so I pulled over. What did you find? Your son-in-law is a serial killer. The words hung in the air like smoke. Barnes continued, his voice grim. Michael Foster, age 42, married 3 times. First wife, Jennifer Martinez, died in 2016. Cause of death, acute liver failure. She was 34, completely healthy before that. No prior medical issues. Life insurance payout, $800,000. I gripped the steering wheel. Second wife, Karen Liu, died in 2019. Also organ failure, also ruled natural causes. She was 31, a marathon runner. Life insurance, $650,000. Jesus Christ. It gets worse. I did some digging into his financials. Between 2016 and 2019, Michael collected $1.45 million from those 2 deaths. Want to guess how much he has left? Tell me. Nothing. He's got $400,000 in gambling debt to Vegas casinos. Debt collectors have been threatening him for the past 6 months. The guy burned through almost $2 million in 6 years. The pieces were falling into place. Michael wasn't just a killer. He was a desperate killer, the kind that makes mistakes. I'm sending you the full file, Barnes said. Copies of the death certificates, insurance payouts, everything. Marcus, this guy is good. He got away with it twice because he was careful. Slow poisoning makes it look natural. But if Rachel's his 3rd victim, she's not going to be a victim, I said. We're going to stop him. The lab results came back the next day. I met Rachel at the same diner. She slid the papers across to me with shaking hands. I read them twice to make sure I wasn't seeing things. Ethylene glycol, 150 microL reference range, 0 to microL, critical value, 200 microL. There it was. Proof. Rachel had ethylene glycol in her blood. Not enough to kill her immediately, but enough to cause the chronic organ damage she'd been experiencing for 18 months. If this continued for another few months, it would be fatal. What does it mean? Rachel asked. It means Michael has been poisoning you. Probably 5 to 10 milliliters of antifreeze in your smoothie every morning. Not enough to kill you quickly, but enough to make you slowly sick. Over 18 months, it's been building up in your system. Rachel's face crumpled. Even though she'd suspected, hearing the confirmation was different. Oh my God, he's really trying to kill me. I reached for her hand again. Yes, but now we have proof, and we're going to use it. What do we do? I thought about the recording device Lisa had given me, about Michael's pattern, about how men like him operated. We set a trap, I said, and we make him confess. Lisa filed an emergency custody motion that same week, citing Michael's recorded threats and Rachel's medical evidence. But we needed more than lab results. We needed Michael to incriminate himself. You need to confront him, Lisa said over the phone. Get him talking. Record everything. You want me to wear a wire? I want you to be the father Rachel needs you to be, the one who fights for her, even when it's hard. That hit me harder than it should have. So I arranged to meet Michael for lunch. I called him directly, introduced myself as Rachel's father, said I was concerned about her health and wanted to meet the man taking care of my daughter. He agreed easily. Too easily. Probably thought meeting the estranged alcoholic father-in-law would give him leverage. The restaurant was upscale Italian. White tablecloths, soft lighting, the kind of place where people made deals. I arrived early, the recording device hidden in my jacket pocket. My hands were sweating, my heart hammered against my ribs. 8 years sober, and this was the moment that tested every ounce of self-control I'd built. Michael walked in at exactly noon. Expensive suit, Armani probably, perfect smile, firm handshake. Everything about him screamed, trustworthy professional. "Mr. Hendricks, it's great to finally meet you. Rachel's told me a lot about you." I bet she had. I bet Michael had used every story about my failures to isolate her further. "Please, call me Marcus." I kept my voice friendly. "I hear she's been sick lately." "Yeah, it's been tough." He settled into his chair, completely at ease. "We've tried everything. Specialists, tests, alternative medicine. I'm really worried about her." His concerns sounded so genuine. That's what made him dangerous. "You know," I said, leaning back, "Rachel mentioned she's been thinking about making some changes, maybe spending more time with family. With me." Something flickered across Michael's face. His jaw tightened, just a fraction. "Changes?" "Yeah. She feels controlled, like she doesn't have freedom anymore." The smile was still there, but strained now. "I give Rachel everything. Financial security, a beautiful home, 2 great kids. If she feels controlled, maybe it's because she's not thinking clearly." "What does that mean?" "Well, you know her history. Unstable family background." He paused, letting it hang there. "Daddy issues." There it was, the knife in my back, but I kept my voice calm. "You're talking about my drinking. Look, I'm not judging. Everyone deserves a second chance, but Rachel's fragile. If she starts making rash decisions, like leaving me, she could lose the kids. Courts don't favor unstable mothers, especially ones with family histories of addiction." The recording device in my pocket was running, every word captured. "And what if she leaves anyway?" Michael leaned forward, his voice dropping. The mask slipped, just for a moment. "Then I'll make sure she regrets it. I'll take Emma and Lucas, and she'll never see them again. I have the resources, I have the lawyers, and I have documentation of her mental instability." "What documentation?" "Medical records showing 18 months of unexplained illness. Psychiatric evaluations I can easily arrange. A family history of substance abuse." He smiled. "You think any judge will give custody to a sick woman with an alcoholic father?" Got him. I wanted to reach across the table and break his nose. I wanted to tell him I knew what he was doing, that I had the lab results, that I knew about Jennifer and Karen. But I didn't. I counted to 5, the way my sponsor taught me. Let the rage transform into cold, calculated determination. "I see," I said quietly. "You've thought this through." "I always think things through, Marcus." He signaled for the check. "Rachel is my wife. Emma and Lucas are my children, and that's not going to change. I hope we understand each other." Crystal clear. After he left, I sat in my car and played back the recording. His voice, cold and threatening. "I'll take Emma and Lucas, and she'll never see them again." Evidence of coercion, evidence of control. Combined with the lab results and Barnes's research, we had enough. That evening, Lisa called. "How did it go?" I got him on tape, threatening to take the kids, admitting he's been controlling her. "Good. Now here's what happens next. Rachel checks herself into the hospital tonight, says she's feeling critically ill. They'll do comprehensive blood work, find the ethylene glycol, and it becomes a medical emergency." "And Michael?" "Detective Barnes is working with the police. They'll get a warrant to search his house. If we're right about this, they'll find evidence, antifreeze, insurance documents, computer searches, something. What about Rachel and the kids?" "Emergency protective custody. The moment she's admitted to the hospital, I file the motion. Emma and Lucas go to a safe house with child services until this is resolved. Michael won't be able to touch them. And if he runs? He won't. Men like Michael don't run. They're too arrogant. He thinks he's untouchable. That was what I was counting on. Rachel checked into the hospital at 8 p.m. By 10 p.m., the ER doctors had confirmed severe ethylene glycol poisoning and started chelation therapy. By midnight, detectives had a warrant for Michael's arrest. At 2 a.m., they searched his house. What they found was enough to bury him. The evidence was damning. In Michael's garage, police found a half-empty bottle of Preston antifreeze with his fingerprints all over it. In his home office, hidden in a locked drawer, they found a folder labeled Insurance Rachel.pdf containing her life insurance policy with beneficiary details highlighted. His laptop revealed deleted browser history that forensic specialists recovered. Searches for undetectable poisons, symptoms of liver failure, natural causes, how long does antifreeze take to kill, and life insurance payout timeline. Most damning of all were the emails. Debt collectors from 3 Las Vegas casinos threatening legal action over $400,000 in unpaid gambling debts. Emails that ended with, "Final notice. Pay by end of month or face consequences." Michael was arrested at the hospital. He'd come to visit Rachel, playing the concerned husband, when 2 detectives approached. I was there, watching from down the hall. I saw his face transform. Shock, then fury, then cold calculation. As they cuffed him, he looked directly at me. "You're a drunk, a failure. No one will believe you." "They don't have to believe me," I said quietly. "They just have to believe the evidence." The trial took place 6 months later. Michael's defense attorney was good. He painted me as a vindictive ex-father with a grudge, a man whose alcoholism had destroyed his family and who was now trying to destroy his daughter's marriage out of jealousy. He emphasized my 8-year absence from Rachel's life, my lost custody battle, my history of instability. But Lisa was better. She presented my 8 years of sobriety documentation. AA attendance records showing 416 meetings, 52 per year, every single week. Letters from my sponsor. "Marcus is the most dedicated member I've seen in 20 years. Employment verification showing 8 years at the same job with 3 promotions and excellent performance reviews. 5 character witnesses who testified to my complete transformation. Then, the prosecution brought out the families. Jennifer Martinez's mother took the stand, tears streaming down her face. She was 72, small and frail, but her voice was strong. "I always knew he killed my daughter," she said, "but no one believed me. He was too charming, too convincing. The police said it was natural causes, and I was just a grieving mother seeing conspiracies." She looked directly at Michael. "Thank you, Mr. Hendricks, for giving my Jennifer justice." The courtroom was silent. Karen Lou's brother testified next, presenting evidence that Michael had isolated Karen from her family in the months before her death, that she'd mentioned feeling constantly ill, that she'd died 3 weeks after increasing her life insurance policy at Michael's suggestion. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all 3 counts. Count 1, attempted murder of Rachel Hendricks. Count 2, first-degree murder of Jennifer Martinez. Count 3, first-degree murder of Karen Lou. The judge sentenced him to 30 years without possibility of parole, 10 years for each victim. All of Michael's assets were seized. He was ordered to pay restitution to the families, $2.95 million from any future earnings or assets. In prison, Michael would be just another inmate. No charm, no control, no power, just consequences. 1 year later, I sat in a park with Rachel, watching Emma and Lucas play on the swings. It was spring. Cherry blossoms drifted on the breeze. The air smelled like fresh grass and new beginnings. Rachel looked healthy again. She'd gained 25 pounds back. Color had returned to her cheeks. The dark circles under her eyes were gone. She was working at an accounting firm now, part-time with flexible hours, and she'd moved into an apartment 3 blocks from mine. "Grandpa! Grandpa! Watch me!" Emma, now 6 years old, hung upside down from the monkey bars, her dark hair swinging. "I'm watching, sweetheart. Be careful." Lucas, 4, ran over with a toy truck. "Grandpa, play trucks with me." I knelt down on the grass, my knees protesting slightly, and pushed the truck back and forth with him. These moments, these simple, ordinary moments, felt like miracles. A second chance at being present, at being the grandfather I never got to be because of my own failures. "I'm sorry, Dad," Rachel said quietly. I looked up. "For what?" "For cutting you out, for believing the worst about you, for not trusting you when you got sober." I shook my head. "You don't owe me an apology. I gave you every reason not to trust me. I'm just grateful I got the chance to prove I've changed. You saved my life. No, you saved your own life by reaching out. I just helped you finish what you started." Emma ran over, breathless and grinning. "Grandpa, come push me on the swings." My sister Lisa walked up, carrying 2 coffees. She'd finalized her own divorce 3 months ago. She was smiling more now, lighter somehow. "You did good, Marcus. We did good." My phone buzzed. An email from Jennifer Martinez's family. "We will never forget our daughter. Thank you for bringing her justice. You saved Rachel, and in doing so, you stopped Michael from hurting anyone else. Our family is forever grateful." I pocketed my phone and watched Rachel laugh with her kids. 8 years sober, 1 year fighting, and finally, redemption. Not because I was perfect, not because I never failed, but because when it mattered most, I showed up. That's all any father can do. Show up, fight for your family, prove that second chances mean something, and hope that, in the end, love is stronger than the past.